Hej och hjärtligt välkomna ska ni vara till Investor Update och GRANGEX Q1-rapport för 2025. Den här rapporten kommer att presenteras av en fyrklöver under ledning av VD Christer Lindqvist. Då GRANGEX även vänder sig till en internationell publik så kommer presentationen nu att övergå på engelska. So warm welcome to GRANGEX Q1 report. For those watching live, you can, as always, interact with the management, and you will do so by putting a question in the chat side, and we will deal with the questions at the end of the report. But without further ado, it's my great pleasure to say hello, Christer. Such a pleasure. You have had a very busy day, and you will have a busy day. So please take it away.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Well, GRANGEX first quarter 2025. It's a busy year so far, and it's just increasing. We will give an update on where we are. We'll talk about the quarterly report, of course, and also give an update on the feasibility study and financing. So with me today, I have my colleagues, Paul and Jan-Erik and Srinivasa. Jan-Erik is head of project financing, and Srinivasa is head of the study, but also the head or director of mine and mine development. Vast experience from both large and small mining companies, have run studies, are following the important international standards. So we are very well equipped here, together with Jan-Erik's vast experience of mine financing. So, and we have today an AGM, and we have the board, which will be re-elected. Annika will leave us for other ventures, but the rest will stay on and go forward together with our new directors, who will hopefully then, I should say, be elected later today. And it's very, very glad to have Åsa joining the board with her vast experience from LKAB, not only from operations, but also project execution, amongst other things. It's a great honor to have Åsa joining us, together with Frank, who has a very large experience from the public side, from the governmental side. He was responsible for Sweden's mining and mineral policies in the government when he was there, and thereafter the head of communication of LKAB, and followed by being the same at the large bank, Swedish bank SEB. So he brings that side of the experience and qualification to the board also now when Annika is leaving us. So Q1, a lot has happened. The PEA, the preliminary economical assessment, was delivered in January. Good financial metrics, we'll talk about that later. But that led also to the feasibility study of Sydvaranger commenced. And we will hear more about that from Srinivasa. We have one thing which has emerged or developed during the quarter also, is the possibility to productify the Sydvaranger tailings, the material which normally goes to waste. There is a emerging and large market for substitutes of clinker. Clinker, the active part in cement, and cement industry is encountering now large challenges because of the CBAM regulations coming on into operation very soon. So, can we productify the tailings, having a additional product to our super concentrate that will be something which will be fantastic. So that is a part of the development. There's also a cooperation with Anglo American. The project financing of Sydvaranger, we will hear from Jan-Erik a little bit later today. And then Dannemora. Well, you all who have followed GRANGEX have followed Dannemora development. Fantastic development all the way up to end of last year when our utility Vattenfall announced that the power is short in our region. That commenced a lot of activities, both on the political side but also on the regional side, including the county administrative board and especially the governor, landshövdingen. So that is constituting a lot of other things. Apart from this, in between, there is a lot. We have a team. We are 42 people now in the company, and progressing very well with the work. The PEA, which was delivered in January, gave a very, very good economical key metrics. We actually more than doubled the net present value, and it's because of the changed mine plan and the sequenced investment that is now the route forward in the feasibility study. We will invest in 2 steps. First, pre-production, bringing it into operation, and then thereafter another $250 million. And we will, from the very, very beginning, be able to produce a super high quality concentrate for direct reduction applications. That's a big step forward. So we will see what the feasibility study now brings, but that is, we will hear more about. But the mine plan, which is also part of this changed investment stage, means that we will start smaller but faster than anticipated in the old feasibility study from 2019, and then step up after 4 years when we have done the expansion investment of a new crusher station and the enhanced cobbing plant, sorting plant at the mine site. What can be seen here is actually based on measured and indicated resources. This is particularly important to also to realize that the step down in production at the end of this period, 19-year period, is what we right now have in the plan. But we have significant resources available in the project. We have almost 500 million tons of mineral resources, 471 million measured and indicated, which is the highest level of a class of the mineral resource, and should be then used in the mineral reserves also. So when the feasibility study is done, we will have a mineral reserve, but only less than half, let's say 40% of the mineral resource will be used in the current mine plan. So we have vast expansion possibilities going forward beyond the year 15 or 19. This is a great asset for, and good news for, Kirkenes, because Kirkenes in the northeast part of Norway is hit very hard by the geopolitical situation, the sanctions with Russia, for instance. The border trade is gone. There is a depletion of businesses leaving the area, and Sydvaranger is the economical motor now, which can bring everything into a expansion. Sydvaranger will bring a lot of economical activity, will directly employ roughly 450 people immediately on production start. But it's also yielding indirect jobs, around double that. So it is a very, very important project, not only for GRANGEX, but it's also for Norway. And therefore, there is a big interest from the Norwegian state and the regions. So the timeline is there. We announced that earlier, but the trigger points is the feasibility study, mid of this year. We have the project financing, which will be in place end of this year, and then commence construction and start up during next year. To see the first ship leaving Kirkenes port early 2027. It's a fast-track project, but it's because there is so much already in place. We have a full production unit there, from the primary crusher all the way out to the ship loader. So it's a fantastic project in many respects. And we have everything according to the international standards, prepared the studies based on that. So with that, I think I leave the floor now to Paul to talk about the numbers and the important thing, the cash.
Thank you. Thank you, Christer. Well, today we published the quarterly report. It's on our homepage, and it's published in Swedish today, and in a few days we will have it translated to English. And I'll keep my part of the presentation to the figures, since all other events will be covered by my colleagues here. And to pimp up the figures, we have some nice pictures here of the Sydvaranger team and the Norwegian Minister of Commerce on a visit earlier. No, it was before last autumn, I think, because there is no snow. And the key financial highlights, as of March 31st, we have the total assets adding up to almost 945 million SEK from 288 million a year ago. The net profit this quarter was 10 million SEK, and the profit per share, or the EPS, was 85 öre. Looking back a year, the assets have grown from about 300 million to above 940 million. Most of this, of course, is due to the acquisition of Sydvaranger. But we also have invested this quarter about 14 million. That's mainly Sydvaranger feasibility work. And for 2024, that same kind of investments in the project was almost 100 million SEK. You can also see here the asset growth in a simple table. The asset consists now in Q1 25 of intangible assets. That's exploration and evaluation assets of 366 million, land, buildings and equipments of 450 million, and user right assets of 62 million. That's the main and biggest asset classes we have. But we also have some liabilities, and they are, I would say, all connected to the funding of the studies and the acquisition of Sydvaranger. Almost all liabilities are denominated in dollars, which gives an FX effect. And this quarter it was positive, since the USD Swedish krona rate has changed in SEK favor. But that goes a bit up and down. And we can also mention that our royalties are recognized as financial liabilities according to IFRS. And They are total amounting now to $35 million. You have heard the number 27.5 before, and the rest of that is including a calculated but not paid interest, because we do pay the royalties as a royalty, a percentage of our income in the future. So the only interest we actually paid this quarter was about 5,000 SEK, not million. And looking on the financial expenses, we had 21 million on interest, loans and royalties, but that's all calculated now, nothing to be paid before the end of this year at least, where we have the Orion loan going to be repaid as part of the financial close. But more of that Jan-Erik will cover later. But now over to the feasibility study with Srinivasa.
Hello, I'll just give a brief update on Sydvaranger feasibility study. So since the completion of preliminary economic assessment in January, the study project has now progressed to definitive feasibility study, the purpose of which is to validate and refine the recommendations in the PEA. The recommended strategy or the option from the PEA is basically a phased approach, where we start the operation using existing facilities, hence it is low Capex scenario. But we produce high-grade DRI pellet feed and then basically ramp up to full production using new facility, constructing new facilities. So that's the option. So basically, a definitive feasibility study, it is a comprehensive evaluation to assess whether the project is economically, engineering-wise, technically, and legally, whether it is a viable project or not. So we are actually preparing this DFS in accordance with NI 43101 Canadian standard. We engaged SLR Consulting, who are the lead consultants from London, who will be actually overall responsible for delivery of this project. SLR Consulting will also be responsible for signing our mineral resources and reserves. So they will be signing QP for geology and mining aspects. SLR consultants will also be working with other qualified persons as required for processing and metallurgy and environmental, social and governance, completing the ESIA studies. So basically, it's a multidisciplinary team working on this total study, which actually ensures that the study is fully compliant on 43101 standards and the technical rigor that's actually required for any of these studies. So basically, we have multidisciplinary qualified persons for processing and for ESG aspects. So basically, lots of work is being completed now at the moment. Based on PEA, what happened is we have changed our mining strategy to start from, instead of starting from the northern side, we are starting from the southern side, which is different from the previous feasibility study. So for that reason, we had to do some infill drilling, which actually enhances the geological confidence and aids in the resource conversion and the classifications, basically. So that part is already completed in December. So we are also conducting a geometallurgical test to validate our mill throughputs and performance, because we'll be mining ore from different deposits, so which is quite an important metrics. Then, because will be producing very high-grade DRI pellet feed, so we are conducting a series of metallurgical tests across the deposits to confirm our product quality and suitability for direct reduction pellet feed. Basically, the project is progressing quite well across all the disciplines, including geology, engineering, ESG, lots of baseline studies and ESI impact assessments are being conducted at the moment, and we are advancing in parallel all these studies. So the study is progressing as per GRANGEX's timeline and schedule, and we are on track basically to complete and deliver it by Q3 25. So that's it from my side. Yeah, thanks. And Jan-Erik will continue with the project financing now.
Thank you very much, Srinivasa. And it's a pleasure to speak to everybody again. And I think as Christer mentioned, we are here to discuss only the Q1 for 2025, but I think it is worthwhile all of us appreciating that it is now just over a year since we acquired Sydvaranger. I can say that post the small celebration we had on site just over a year ago, the team has been extremely busy. And as you can see, things are moving at a very rapid pace across a multitude of different work streams. And my role in the company remains to ultimately secure the project financing to enable the construction of the project, but also its long-term operation. The only reason why I am part of the team, the only reason we have Anglo American as our partner, is that the company is committed to building the operation, building it in accordance with the best international rules and governance, to putting in place the best available financing structure that not only sees the assets survive for hopefully generations, but also secures the best return for our shareholders. As Srinivasa has been working 24 hours a day to get the feasibility study in place, we have now enough information through a combination of the previous PEA and information coming from the final feasibility study to have commenced the project financing process. So I can say that that process is now underway. We are not in any way waiting for the final feasibility study in order to start that. And as Christer mentioned, the target is to have the FID, which is the final investment decision, for the board to actually give the final green light for the construction and operation during 2026. So as a team, we are super excited. We're now, from my perspective, getting really into the exciting part, which is getting the financing in place and starting to make decisions about how do we actually secure the equipment, the personnel, etc., to build. The way we're coordinating the process is in exactly the same way as with the feasibility study. We have an in-house team of experts who are coordinating the process, led by myself, but with Paul and our other financial team and our financial personnel, both in Stockholm and in Kirkenes, but also supported by two of the leading investment banks in Norway focused on the mining sector. That is SB1 and Clarksons, with whom we have been working for nearly coming up to 6 months in order to design and secure the optimal financing structure. We're very fortunate, given the state of the project, the underlying commodity focus, the geographic location, the size, etc., but also support from Anglo American, which means we have available to us the entire suite of project finance products. A lot of projects of equivalent size, but in different jurisdictions and commodities, are very restricted in what they can do. Whereas for me, we have the entire smorgasbord of available options, which means that we have the ability to put in place something that I think will be optimal for everybody. We are therefore already in discussions with various financial institutions. These are senior project finance banks concerning senior bank financing. We have clearly two of the biggest banks involved in the issuance of Nordic bonds and other publicly traded instruments. So that is very much a consideration which provide or will provide to us advantages around speed to execution. I'll talk a little bit more about state financing on the next slide, but we also, as previously disclosed, we have Anglo American, not only as our commercial partner who have guaranteed for us the market, but are going to also invest capital into the project. And then given our structure of having both a listed parent company but a private subsidiary, we have the ability to bring equity at either level or indeed both levels. In addition, we are already in discussions with other institutions, so equipment finance counterparts. We will be looking at export credit agencies and other alternatives as well. And I hope to be able to provide further information as the process goes along. But at this stage, what I can say is I very much, as you can hopefully see, have a smile on my face. We are extremely positive with the way that our initial discussions have been going, and we will provide updates when we're able to do so. I did mention one thing, which is the state financing. And if we move to the next slide, we really do want to highlight one of the very unique features that we have at Sydvaranger. If you put yourselves into the shoes of a financial institution, an equity player, we are located in Europe in one of the safest jurisdictions that you can have in the mining sector. We have a project which is not only brownfield, but is effectively ready to commence operations. We are fully permitted, but we are also located in a non-European Union member country. And that means we have the ability to secure financing from Norwegian state institutions, unlike a lot of our compatriots in other jurisdictions. Sydvaranger is going to be the economic heart of Finnmark. As Christer mentioned in his presentation, we will be employing over 450 permanent employees, and you can imagine the multiplier effect that that brings. We will be working and in accordance with all of the world's leading sustainability regulations, including very much the Norwegian ones. And as a result, we will be really looking at Sydvaranger as the showcase of how European mining projects should be operated, constructed for the benefit of not only our shareholders, but for the benefit of Norway and for the local communities. On that basis, Christer, myself and the wider team have engaged in a number of discussions with a number of the Norwegian institutions. Norway is clearly a wealthy country with significant capital to invest in the development of its industrial base. So as of today, institutions like Eksfin, who have the ability to support companies exporting goods from Norway. 100% of our production will be exported. Innovation Norway, who have significant capital to deploy into new industries. Nusnö, who is focused on equity investments. And Siva, who is looking at more structured transactions. So we are looking at all forms of financing. For us, the public-private partnership with the Norwegian government, our relationship with Anglo American, the credibility that they bring, and the broader global financing institutions is really what we are focused on. As mentioned, we will provide as much transparency and information as we can as those discussions develop. And really the key next milestone is the completion of the feasibility study, at which point, hopefully, Srinivasa can take a little bit of a breather and we will be carrying on motoring at 25 hours a day. With that, I'll hand over back to the studio and to Christer to take any questions, and I'm happy to also answer any questions you may have. Thank you. Christer.
Thank you very much, Jan-Erik, and Srinivasa, Paul, for a great in-depth update.
Well, Christer. Let's jump into the Q&A. We have received some questions ahead of this presentation, and I think a lot of those have been dealt with during the presentation. But I have an own question here. The financial income was positive, but it was also, if I understood you correctly, related to the FX situation. So going forward, how should we view GRANGEX and the FX movements? Is it an extraordinary income or loss, or should it be ongoing business?
I think this is, we will have all our incomes in dollars. Mm. We have our loans in dollars. So it will be a question of hedging strategy, really, when we get into the, beyond FID, actually. Before that, we will not do anything. It will be a little bit of a headache of Paul's to handle that. But it is fortunate sometimes, less fortunate other periods. But
the point being is that you would have your costs and your income in the same currency, and then you have the listing in another. So it will be translational rather than transactional in that case.
Let's say it like this: our operational costs will predominantly be local in Norwegian. Okay. In this case, in Sydvaranger, in Norwegian currency, and income in dollars. Okay. So there will be a currency exposure if we don't have a hedging strategy.
And in the previous quarter, the external costs were up, but here I saw one of the slides saying that Capex will be low, and if from memory serves right, so it seems like Capex has been more or less in the ballpark that you had previously. So two questions here then. Are you ready to hit the ground running when you go into production there, and should it be without major cost increase as you have, let's say, predicted from now?
I mean, we will have increased cost because we are ramping up the activities, especially in Sydvaranger. We will have enlarge our organization, both for the project execution, but then also meeting the need of a operational organization taking over from the execution team once it's ready. Let's say during next year. So basically what we are, but that's also part of the financial strategy. How to finance this will be done through the project financing, as Jan-Erik talked about. So yes, we will have increased cost, but most of that cost will be capitalized, so it's not eating into the shareholder equity in that sense.
Yeah. Which I think is probably the genius behind the question, is that you will be able to handle the cost as you ramp up the production.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And there is a lot of focus here on the Sydvaranger project finances. So what kind of total amount should we expect here?
In investments, you mean?
Yes.
Well, we have a plan that will be substantiated even better after the release of the feasibility study. But right now we are talking about roughly $105 million in pre-investments in Sydvaranger, and that is where we are right now.
And Jan-Erik mentioned here about let's say being in Norway, being outside the EU, and the interest that you can get, and also the central support here. And you had a slide of number of people being employed. So could you just, dig in a little bit deeper into the local and central authorities, let's say, help, or how supportive are they?
Paul showed a picture of the Minister of Commerce, Cecile Michette, visiting. That was not the first time, that was the third time. We had the Minister of Oil and Gas during the quarter also visiting us, and I will meet the Prime Minister in 2 days in Kirkenes. So yes, there is a big focus on Sydvaranger and Eastern Finnmark, and it is because of the geopolitical situation. That's definitely so. But it's also to promote the economical activities and expansion. We see now, because of the reduced activities, that people are leaving. The mine is actually the economical motor which can really help that our region in Eastern Finnmark to flourish actually again. But and the only thing is to bring the mine into operation, and the possibilities are very, very, very good actually for many reasons.
So in conclusion, the local authorities and the central authorities are very supportive here.
Yeah, of course they are. It's of course like any establishment of this size would be very, very, very interesting for any local or regional government, and so we have a very close and very good relationship and cooperation also.
And that's an excellent segue into the next authorities and the next country here. So let's delve into Dannemora here. You had a slide where you're talking about the power supply. Where are we now?
Well, you could imagine that it was not that the best message we got from Vattenfall, the utility, during the autumn last year, and that sparked a lot of activities on various levels, and that has actually resulted in a much better cooperation, I would say, or interaction now with utility Vattenfall, and they are really trying to find solutions. We have the state-owned major transmission company, Svenska Kraftnät, which is also a player in this. But with the help of the governor of Uppsala and his team, the region, and also the municipality and the Handelskammaren, the Trade Council in Stockholm and Uppsala, is doing a fantastic job also, apart from what we are doing, in order to push. And the push really results in something. So, yes, we see a much more active interest now to resolve the issues we have with the power in Dannemora.
So things are looking up now at Dannemora.
Yeah, more positive, I would say.
It's always difficult for the CEO to comment on the share price, but I will rephrase this question. Sorry. Because there are research reports out there talking about a significant upside to the share price. Would you say that an assessment of the long-term iron ore price of north of $100 per ton, is that completely far-fetched, or is it where you see the price going forward?
Yeah, we have this independent forecast done by Fast Market, which is one of the leading analyst firms in our industry. They have provided us with a forecast which looks, very good actually. So the farther we go in the future, the better the price would be. So absolutely north of $100 for our product, definitely. And we also can, even though I shouldn't say that, but we have the interest of Anglo American, and of course that is because of the quality. But we will see what happens here. Nobody knows actually, but if we would get a solution, positive solution in Ukraine, for instance, I mean, that will spark a lot of activities where steel will be in high demand.
And you touch upon your product here, and that's high quality iron ore of 70% grade. There are figures out there for a total production of north of 50 million tons. And would you say that's far-fetched or within the ballpark of what you expect?
Well, let's say the result of the PEA actually, and that will be confirmed in the feasibility study. So around 55 million tons of then 70% DR grade concentrate is definitely something will come out of it. And this means that Sydvaranger will be the third largest producer of this type of high quality product in Europe.
And we have some questions about the off-take agreement here with Anglo, so I'll just read them here. According to the off-take agreement, Anglo is expected to invest $50 million. Does this mean that we will need to secure approximately 50 million to cover the first phase of the Capex? And we've been in and out of the Capex here, but how much can we elaborate on that?
We have an agreement right now which says that, yes, that's definitely so. And we will, in the best of worlds, that will come through that way. But we will see. We have, how should I say, put it, we are developing the feasibility study now, and that with that in place, we will see what Anglo will invest, if I put it this way. When we agreed with Anglo, that is back a year ago, we had the plan to do a pre-investment of between $400 and $500 million. So the Anglo portion was around, well, 10, maybe 12.5% of the overall needed pre-investment Capex. So 50% versus, well, which we have now. So what I'm saying is there are different ways to resolve that, because I don't think we will have 50 million direct in that sense from in this first phase. So we will see.
And we also have another question here, which is connected into Dannemora and Sydvaranger. And previously, in the previous quarter, there were all hands on deck and focus was on Sydvaranger. But as you mentioned, seems that the situation in Dannemora is looking up. So will you still have first focus on Sydvaranger, or could it be split focus, or what shall the market expect?
Well, we had definitely focused now 100% on Sydvaranger, or 95% at least. Dannemora has its development phase now, delayed because of the power. And we will put all our emphasis on bringing Sydvaranger in, because you can see, compared to Dannemora, it's $200 million, and we will have 1 million tons of product. Instead, we have now $100 million plus 2.5 million tons of product initially. It's more bang for the buck. So it's better to prioritize Sydvaranger. So that is what really happened. So in that it's will be first Sydvaranger, then Dannemora.
So nothing has changed there really,
No.
and the quarterly in itself is more or less in line, and we will wait for the definite feasibility report, and that would be Q3 or?
Yeah, well, I think I said mid Q3.
Okay.
But we will see. It will be Q3, definitely.
So we will watch
I know that Srinivasa wants to go on leave also.
Okay, I see. And maybe you can go from 25 hours a day to 24, which is good. So that would be very interesting. Christer and team, it's been an absolute pleasure. And as I said previous time, should be very interesting to follow GRANGEX going forward. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Och vi säger tack till er som har tittat. Tack ska ni ha. Hej hej.